I don't know about you, but I love taking pictures in metro stations, empty parking garages, underpasses, airports, hospitals, all of these kinds of transitional spaces that have virtually no character whatsoever, and that somehow feel as if they're haunted by people that have somehow gone missing. At least in the pictures that I like to take, because I like to portray these places as empty, even when they're not. In many ways, these kinds of places remind me of J.G.Ballard's work, and I've mentioned his books in another video before. And when we're talking about Ballard, we can also think of his post-apocalyptic fiction, and that adds all sorts of abandoned places too. I like taking pictures in abandoned houses or around abandoned places like that. My hometown is actually full of these kinds of places, and I've always been drawn to them for some reason. I don't know what it is, but I just find these places so fascinating, and that makes it so much fun to take pictures there. So this time, let me take you along while I explore yet another one of these places. In this case, it was the area surrounding a hospital on a bank holiday evening, and this made it quite empty and quiet. I had some time to kill around there, and I had my Lumix S5 IIx and my TTArtisan 40mm f2 lens with me, and I was right in my element. I had never been here before, so I was just wandering aimlessly, trying to find just about anything that piqued my interest. You never know with places like this, and you can end up walking around forever without finding anything. Wandering around empty parking lots is always pretty strange. I tried to find an angle where that lamppost didn't intersect with anything, but in the end I just gave up in favor of the leading curves. It doesn't quite work because of that post, but it comes close. I mean, is it too much for me to ask that they move that lamppost to make the place more photogenic? Is it really that hard? There's something pretty haunted about stairs leading nowhere. It makes me want to check whether there's something under that hedge, perhaps. Here I love all these lines going in all sorts of different directions, and it's just perfect for black and white. What a place. Then I saw this building peeking through the trees, and I got intrigued. So I made my way there to take a closer look. It was some kind of a hotel, and the patterning on it just made it really great for black and white photography. The windows that aren't quite windows are something else, and I took quite a few pictures of this one. This rusty steel walkway promised a lot of interesting pictures too. so I decided to follow it and check out the view. With this picture, I really enjoy the combination of the stark parallel lines combined with the organic shape of the tree. The lighter part at the top, the darker area at the bottom. As black and white pictures go, this just ticks all the boxes for me. Someone is coming. I couldn't help taking pictures of this guy with his two dogs. I ended up following them for a bit to see whether I could find a nice composition that incorporates them. This has to be my favorite picture of the entire evening. I like the curve in the walkway here, and the flare on the right really helps too. The way the light reflects off the railing on the right is really pretty too. And I think everything just came together so nicely here. I took another one where the guy is looking back towards his other dog, but the dog is less visible in this one, so I think I like the first one better. I just recorded a crow. I just couldn't resist. And they're so funny. I really like the way they call. There's of course lots of background noise from this place, but I think it's rather cool. It sounds sort of industrial. I like it. Also photographically, this place is great for black and white. I really enjoy it. I've only been here once before, and that was quite a few years ago. I was at the other end of this place here, of this walkway, and I took some pictures over there, but I never followed it to the end, so this part is kind of new to me. We're just here running errands, basically, and I took my camera. It's always so good to have a camera when you just have to wait around for things, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm killing time because I have to wait, and just taking some pictures here is making that a lot more bearable. So it's really great to have my camera on me and this small lens that I can just have with me all the time. And it doesn't make the Lumix feel so heavy like some of my other lenses. So it feels more like this can be an everyday carry type camera, even though it's a bit big for that. And I think a different Lumix would be better for that purpose, like the S9. But here I have a viewfinder, so even the small lens already helps quite a bit. I think I'm going to continue for a bit more. Maybe I'll find something else. And yeah, there's also this bit of a forest that is quite interesting, although the light is now getting quite soft and going a bit. We'll see. Maybe I'll find something else. Talk to you later. I'm done waiting. Time to go. Of course, I took some street pictures on the way back, and we had a few minutes to wait for the next metro too, so I managed to take a few more pictures I really like. I especially like this one of this group of boys who are all looking at their phones, and somehow they're all distracted and not really paying attention to each other, but since they're so close to each other, it still feels like a group and like they're doing something communal, which they're really not. It's such a strange phenomenon in general. I think the pictures that I got on this day were really lovely, and it goes to show that taking a camera, even if you're not sure whether you have any time to shoot, is actually a worthwhile exercise. I took my camera just in case and to take the occasional street picture along the way, and I actually ended up getting a picture that is pretty much portfolio worthy, and I wasn't planning on getting anything like that at all because I didn't know what I would find. But with this picture, everything just came together. The light was really lovely, and the way it reflects of the metal railing is really, really great. I love it so much. I also really like this picture that I got on the subway with the kids playing and this boy with his bike. It just feels so much like the kind of pictures that I used to take while I was living in Berlin. There I used to shoot in the metro a lot, especially in winter, because it was always getting very cold and the subway was always quite warm. So it was a great way to keep shooting while the weather was dismal outside. And here I don't really do that so often because it means going to other towns pretty much, and it's not really part of my routine. Maybe I should make it my routine because I actually got really nice pictures this time. And maybe there's something there. I'm also really loving this combination of the Lumix S5 IIx and my TTArtisan 40mm lens. It really reminds me so much of the 20mm Panasonic lens that I used to shoot when I was still living in Berlin. I guess the comparison is pretty obvious since they're both 40mm lenses in full frame terms, so it's quite a similar field of view. The 20mm also comes to mind because the TTArtisan doesn't have the fastest autofocus in the world, but it actually works more reliably than the 20mm because that one was quite atrocious in that respect. On this day, I didn't actually miss a single picture with the TTArtisan lens, so it's not quite as bad as the Panasonic 20mm. So I guess the comparison is also a little bit unfair maybe. The 20mm obviously had its flaws, but I really enjoyed shooting it anyway, and I got some great pictures with it. And I think the TTArtisan feels similar in a way. I also really like the way it renders, and I'm overlooking the flaws of it because of the way it renders. So it's similar in that respect to the 20mm too. The combination with the body is also not perfect. I would much prefer the S5 IIx to have a more rangefinder style body, but I guess then I would have to get a different camera, right? The S5 IIx has a pretty good viewfinder, and that makes a huge difference. And other styles of bodies, like the S9 for example, that one doesn't even have a viewfinder, so there are always trade-offs. In this case, I'm glad that I had the viewfinder on that day, but for street pictures, I think I could get by without the viewfinder because I used to shoot a lot without one anyway. Having a smaller and lighter camera for this kind of purpose, when you're not entirely sure whether you're gonna take pictures, obviously makes a little bit more sense. And I do have smaller cameras for this, but I actually prefer taking the S5 IIx now because of the nice video functions, and also the real-time LUT feature makes it so much more useful because I don't have to worry about the editing part so much if it's already pre-edited. I don't have to worry about the colors or about most of the editing style because it's already baked into the JPEGs, and most of the time I can just use the JPEGs without much of an adjustment. And these two advantages definitely are the reason why I'm picking the S5 IIx. over some of the smaller and lighter cameras I have as a sort of everyday style camera. And I'm not really bothered so much about the size because these two features actually make up for the hassle of taking a bigger camera. Why size matters in this context is because I wasn't really sure whether I would take any pictures, and taking a camera that doesn't weigh anything would be much more sensible in this context. A lot of people probably would have not taken any camera at all and would have just ended up doom scrolling while waiting around. But I tend to fill such time with taking pictures, and it's a much better use of my time, I believe. And even if I hadn't found anything where we were going, I would have taken pictures on the way. And I actually took one of my favorite pictures of that day on the subway while we were just heading there. So it's definitely worthwhile to take your camera just in case for these kinds of pictures that you take in passing. And I have actually gotten a lot of my favorite pictures like this. A dedicated photo walk can put a lot of pressure on you to deliver so that you actually come back with a banger or whatever. And that can make it actually a lot less enjoyable than just going out like this and taking pictures as a bonus rather than the main purpose of your outing. In that case, the objective is something else, and it will feel like a success even if you just get done what you had to get done. And anything else that you get on the way might just be a bonus, and you don't have to feel bad if you don't find anything. So next time you're on your way out of the door and ask yourself, should I take a camera? Well, do yourself a favor and just say yes to yourself and take that camera, because you never know what you might find. I've taken some great pictures just in passing while running errands, and it's always a worthwhile exercise to take pictures also while you're distracted, walking with other people, and so on and so forth. It hones the skill for those moments when you're actually concentrated. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. It really helps out my channel, so I would really appreciate it. In this case, I would suggest that you subscribe to my photography channel, because this is where these photography videos live, and I only share them with the main channel so that they get the widest possible reach. A big shout out also to my Ko-fi supporters. You're the best and you make all this possible, and I'm very grateful for it. If you also want to support what I do, then you can head over to Ko-fi, or maybe just watch another video. There's an entire photography playlist for you to watch here. And I hope I see you soon for another video. Bye!